Hello, writers. I'm your pen mother, and today we are going to talk about characters in fiction. Actually, this can apply to nonfiction too, so all you nonfiction folks out there, stick with me. We are focusing on the protagonists. Protagonists come in all shapes and sizes, but today I want to focus on the really heroic ones, the ones that beat the dragon and save the day. The good guys or gals, our protagonists. Most of us probably know that. The protagonist is the character in the story that we are meant to follow along with, relate to, understand, maybe even aspire to be. One of the things that can be deadly about writing a protagonist is that they are often the least interesting character in the story. This happens for a few reasons, but most of the time I think it boils down to us wanting to make sure our hero is heroic, and heroic is boring. Some writers try to compensate for their boring hero by creating wild and colorful secondary characters. They're so much more specific. They have such depth. I mean, Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. No contest. So how can you make your good guy or gal also the most interesting, fun, and exciting character in your story? I'll focus on protagonists a lot because so much of good fiction depends on having a compelling protagonist. But we'll break this up into little pieces, most of which will apply to all of your characters, not just the main one. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do for today is to look at what's bad in your good guy. Nobody's perfect, right? Think about the characters that you have loved the most through the years. I will bet you that they all have something bad about them. Most writers create what's called the fatal flaw or the hole in the soul. Both of those notions are great, and your protagonist needs those things in order to have a way to change through the story. But I'm not actually talking about the big flaw that drives the story. That's something else for another day. I'm talking about the things in their personality that do not change through the story, but make us love them even as we hate them just a little bit. They're crass. They don't like children. They're a petty thief. They are perfectly willing to lie to get what they want. They're a know-it-all who throws their knowledge in the face of their friends and enemies. They do not respect authority. The key here is to give them a character flaw that they do not fix. In Harry Potter, for example, Hermione is maddeningly condescending, a trait that is only moderately remedied through all 7 books. Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice judges people too quickly and uses her sharp wit to cut. Katniss Everdeen is bitter as hell and stays that way through all 3 books. Marvel Studios has an excellent grasp of this concept, and that's why their characters are so well loved. Tony Stark is a pompous ass. Captain America is annoyingly officious and superior. Bruce Banner is a pushover. Natasha Romanoff is emotionally cut off. Thor is a condescending blockhead. Peter Quill is a two-bit crook with delusions of grandeur. He's a con man. Luke Skywalker is a whiny teenager. Han Solo is snide and arrogant. Princess Leia is also arrogant and officious and a politician. And I love her with all my heart. Your main character can be unreliable, cheeky, untrusting, or untrustworthy. In Casablanca, Rick was a crusty and bitter man who nevertheless made heroic choices. Okay, here's how this theory applies to nonfiction. No one is perfect. So if you're writing about a real-life person or yourself, own up to their character flaws, where they are weak and where they are maybe a little too strong. Acknowledging weakness in real, actual humans will help your audience connect with them. And if you're writing about yourself, acknowledging your own flaws will make you more trustworthy and likable, unless you're a really terrible human. So play with this concept. Brainstorm some ideas. Maybe your protagonist's bad side can be a mirror to your antagonist's good side, which we'll talk about another time. But if you're getting feedback on your work that your main character is getting lost among your other characters, or that your main character feels flat, which may be the most common note in note-giving history, you can add some dimension by showing us why they aren't perfect. No one is loved by everyone. So make sure your protagonist has qualities that make them genuinely irritating to others. It will make their heroism all the more heroic.